Hello, my friends. How are you? This is Dr. Annette, and gosh, I am so excited. We are here for the last two sections of the engagement chapter, or the engagement unit, rather. So we are going to focus on chapter 14 today, and we're going to wrap it up with this final thoughts. Now, if you've been following along in our training sessions, we've been really focusing on the E part these past couple of lessons, and that's focusing on engagement. How are we engaged as an educator in the work that we do? Are we 100% engaged, or are we partially engaged, or are we totally not engaged? We looked at the four different quadrants and how we can see that we can easily move into a quadrant 3, which is where we do not want to be, but we always want to stay in a quadrant 1, and how it's important to dip into that quadrant 2 when necessary. And when we're looking at that engagement, how that then relates to our passion, our goal, what our desire is, and what we do to leave a heartprint on other people that we meet. Now, as you can see, all the learning that's taking place is not just focusing on education, although that is our focus in these discussions, right? However, I hope that you're able to see how you can take this information and relate it to other parts of your life as well. All right, my friends. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dig into the last section of engagement. All right, let me switch to our slides here. Okay, so here we are on engagement, and as we have in the past, I'll read the very first beginnings, do a little review here just to make certain that you are in the right spot. So we are focusing on finding happiness through engagement and meaningful alliances while taking focused risks using intelligent thought and wisdom. And then again, if you don't have that personal journal, make certain that you print that off. We're going to be looking at this as we go throughout our studies here, and there's opportunities for you to take notes as well. And then now we're finishing up our engagement section, and with the happiness that we did before and the engagement, hopefully as we continue through, the goal would be that you can see how all 5 of these hard elements are essential to having deeper connections for your work life over the time of your professional career, but also in other areas of your life as well. And also how each of these elements actually are intertwined to have a successful career and a successful life. All right, so our E, last time for E on developing heart is for engagement. So in this section, we explore the role that energy and effort play in our pursuit of a fully formed and exceptional professional life. All right. And I think I just went back a slide. I did. Here we go. Moving forward. So our essential question that we're discussing is, are you an inspiring person with the day-to-day energy required to be fully engaged in your work life? And my friends, I don't know about you, but oftentimes at the end of a day, especially as we continue throughout the year, my energy is starting to dwindle. And I always need to see when that's starting to happen, and I start moving into that quadrant 3, pulling myself out. And last session, we talked about some things that you can do to pull yourself out of that quadrant 3, get yourself back in that quadrant 1 so that you maintain that energy. All right, so here we are. Chapter 14, Grit, Deliberate Daily Practice. All right, so my friends, we have been willing to fail, to be wrong, to start over again with lessons learned. And that's by Angela Duckworth. You know, whenever I see that, I always think about the times when I will do a lesson, I'm like, oh, that lesson didn't go very well. And I go back to the drawing board and I revamp it, think about where it didn't work. And then I have it ready to go again the next time or the next day, tweaking things that I need, whether it's the content, the specific lesson, whether it's meeting the specific needs of individuals or different groups of students that I have in my room. All right, I'm going to go ahead and continue reading, and I want you to focus on that word grit. Grit is working on something that you care about so much that you're willing to stay loyal to it. Right now I'm working on my health and working on losing some weight, and that right there I need to remember, working on something you care about so much, about my health so much, that I'm willing to stay loyal to it. So even whenever I see that chocolate brownies over there at the cookout, I want to, avoid that because I need to stay loyal. I need to have that grit and do what it is I need to do to stay focused. All right. Without further ado, let's dig into page 93. So my first teaching job was in Stillman Valley, just outside of Rockford, Illinois. It is a small farming town, and I was the only mathematics teacher for grades 7 through 12 when I first started. So we eventually, the author says, grew to 2.5 teachers in the mathematics department. I also drove a morning school bus route, sponsored the mathematics competition team, developed and supervised the sports intramural program, designed the first health education classes for the school, and coached volleyball, basketball, and varsity baseball. Talk about juggling lots and lots and lots of plates or balls there and spinning plates, right? While all the activities in this list might sound admirable, the truth is I was overwhelmed most of the time. I barely knew what I was doing. Every night after my sports practices, I would go to my classroom and stand at the board. This was the chalk era, before we had colorful chalk too. I would practice my first lesson for the next day using all my board space and thinking through every little detail. Then I would practice my next lesson, then my next one, until I felt ready for the day. I often left the school as late as 10 or 11 at night because I did not want to be unprepared. I was young, single, and raw to the work and practice of teaching. A lot of the content was new for me, and I knew I needed to practice, practice, practice. Now, if you're an educator, I know you can totally relate to this as a new teacher. And if you are a leader watching this and participating in our heart group, I know that you have those teachers who are brand new or who are not seasoned, right? And I want you to think about what is it that you can do to support those teachers, okay? I learned the value of mindful and focused practice from my colleague and head boys basketball coach, a teacher like you and me, and the grittiest person I have ever known, Reggie Murray. Reggie was an old school tough guy, but he taught me how to prepare every single minute of every practice so there would be no waste of time or energy. He taught me how to engage the students, athletes in this case, so that when it came to game day, they would have practiced exactly the skills and developed the understanding needed for game readiness. Reggie had been at it for a long time, and yet he prepared and practiced his craft with great urgency and purpose. Now, my friends, I want you to stop and think, where are you at in your season? Okay, where are you at? Are you a new teacher and you can totally identify with all the demands that are placed upon educators? Or are you a seasoned teacher and you might see those other newer teachers, right? And the struggles that they may have. What is it that you can do as that seasoned teacher to support those teachers who are raw? Okay, what can you do as a leader? What can you do to support the teachers that you work with, and to ensure that they do not become overwhelmed? I know when I was a new teacher, I also had young children of my own, but I wanted to be involved in everything that the school had to offer. So I was there to help out with after school activities. I was there to help out with different clubs and even start clubs at the school. And if there was any training, I wanted to get as much training as I could, because that was one of the things I love to do, is to learn. And my friends, it was overwhelming. And on top of this is like in my fifth year of teaching in the public school system, whereas I did have experiences before that. But I decided I was going to work on my national board certification. Oh my goodness, talk about burning the candle at both ends. It was a challenge, but I did it, and I sit back and look at everything that happened at that time frame, and I'm just glad that I had that energy, that passion to continue, and where I am now in my season, 30, I'm starting my 33rd year here, somewhere right in there. And I still have that passion, and that's the whole reason why I started my business, the Blue Ribbon Teacher, because I know that there are other teachers out there who are excellent teachers, but they may struggle in certain areas, they may need some support, but they have that passion. And so it is my goal to support educators so that everybody can be that Blue Ribbon Teacher. Everybody can be the best teacher that he or she can be. And so I'm hoping that this talk that we're having is helping you, and you can see that grit that you have, that working on something that you care about so much that you're willing to stay loyal to it. My friends, I'm going to go to the next slide here. And there are some daily practices that we can do to continue working on that grit. Okay. Um, this is all taken from Angela Duckworth in the book that our author is sharing. And the author shares that there is a deliberate practice that expert teachers and leaders what they do every single day, every single month. Okay, so I want you to be thinking about what does the deliberate practice of expert teachers and leaders mean for you and for me. Okay, here we go. Number one, those considered experts in their profession, they set stretch goals. And I know when I didn't, I think I consider myself an expert, but back in the day when I was doing my national board certification, I did not consider myself an expert. And for years, I did not consider myself an expert. I didn't really consider myself an expert until people started coming to me and asking me, how do you do this? How do you do that? How is it that you're getting these results? What are you doing to work with the students to ensure that they get maximum growth? Because my students were experiencing some great growth. And so whenever I started having and my administration and other people in the district come to me and say, Annette, what is it that you're doing? Can we come and watch you? That's when I started to consider myself an expert. But, always having those stretch goals. And I think, after I received my national board certification, my next stretch goal was to get my master's degree. And then my next stretch goal was to get my doctorate degree. My next stretch goal was to build this business, to work with other teachers. As you know, I work with teachers in our school district who are new to the profession, new to our district, and I have developed a mentorship program through an NEA grant. And I have a team of three other educators that I work with. And so my next stretch goal is to make certain that when I retire in the next few years, that I'm able to leave behind opportunities, a solid program that's sustainable for new educators that come to our school, and to increase the expertise, to increase the collegiality, to increase student achievement through this mentorship program. All right, so I want you to think first, those considered experts at their profession, they set a stretch goal. What is your stretch goal? A stretch goal creates a target of performance beyond current performance that beckons to be achieved. And when I went from a classroom teacher to the position that I'm in currently, that was a stretch goal for me. Okay. Now, in the position, I can still see that I need to set another stretch goal, but that's kind of where I'm at. I guess whenever I look at myself, I look at different areas and put some stretch goals for those. All right, number 2. The second is experts seek immediate, accurate, and specific. Keyword is specific feedback, including feedback that could be considered negative. That is so important. Okay. Even if that feedback is negative, that negative feedback, right? It's actually called constructive criticism. That is going to help you as the expert to work on that next stretch goal. Okay. So all feedback is good. Immediate, the sooner you have it, the better, because you can act upon it. Accurate, you want it to be something that is accurate. It's just not something that happens once in a blue moon, right? You want it to be specific. When your feedback is specific, then you're able to make some changes, okay? And I want you to think about this from the student perspective as well. As a teacher, are you giving immediate, accurate, specific feedback to your students? Are you giving them that? I don't like to say negative feedback. I call it constructive criticism. If you giving them that constructive criticism to help them move forward, are your students setting stretch goals themselves during the school year? All right, just something else to think about. As a leader, are you giving opportunities for your teachers to set stretch goals? A perfect time to do that is during the evaluation process, when you're meeting with teachers at the beginning of the year. What is it that the teachers want to work on? What is it that they see they need to continue working? And when we talked about way back in in the first section of heart, we talked about how a teacher can be not aware at all that something needs to be changed, right? A teacher can be aware that something needs to be changed, but not know how to change it. A teacher can be aware that something needs to be changed and has a strategy or a plan to get to that next goal. Okay. All right. Number 3, the third area, experts reflect on the results of their effort, seek out what went wrong, and start again, correcting their weaknesses as part of the next practice round. And my friends, that is something that not only we as educators need to sit back and look at what has happened, what has transpired, what can we do, what went wrong, right? What can we do to make it better, to make corrections and implement it and move it forward? Right there, that is action research. Looking at results, reflecting, making adjustments, implementing those adjustments, and then again, reflecting what areas were great, what areas were wrong, making adjustments, implementing those adjustments. As a classroom teacher, I did that all the time whenever I would have debrief meetings. I would have class meetings and they would be like a debrief. So we would have a writer's workshop. After writer's workshop, we would come together and debrief, especially when we're setting it up. What went well? What is it that we need to work on? How do you think we can do that? Okay, boys and girls, let's try this next time. So tomorrow when we meet, this is what we're going to do. Then at the class meeting in the morning, what would I do? Remember, boys and girls, yesterday when we did our writing workshop, these are some things that we saw that needed to be worked on to get better. And so what are we going to work on today? Boom. Right before writing workshop, boys and girls, remember, these items are written on the board, right? These are the things that we're going to work on today. Can you give me a thumbs up? Are you able to help us with that today? All right, thumbs down. You're going to struggle a little bit. And it's important as a teacher to see those thumbs down because then you know where you need to go provide some extra support. All right, number 4, and the fourth one, reflection and refinement with action become your most powerful growth tools as you engage in deliberate practice around your specific job role each day. Oh my gosh, that consistent looking at what's going on, reflecting, refining, doing it, coming back, reflecting, refining, doing it. It's just a circle. Can you see how this circle goes? And with each time that you refine, what are you going to do? You're going to start to set another goal. It might not be a stretch goal, but it's going to be another goal. But through that reflection and that refinement process, you will be able to find that stretch goal. All right, my friends, that's a lot of information. But remember, grit is working on something you care about so much that you're willing to stay loyal to it. And my friends, you need to have grit every single day. Every single day. That's going to keep you in that quadrant 1. It's going to allow you to dip into that quadrant 2 and help you stay out of that quadrant 3. All right. And if you don't know about what I'm talking about with quadrants, then feel free to listen to the last session. All right. So I want you to think about where you are in your season, and I want you to think about what is it that you are doing to show that grit, okay? What is it that you are doing? What is it that you're working on? What is it that you care about so much that you're willing to stay loyal to it? And it's time to start reflecting. So what I want you to do now is to take a moment to reflect on the deliberate practice ideas and then answer the following questions. Question 1. What is a stretch goal you might set based upon your current teaching and learning performance? What is a stretch goal that you might set based upon your current season? Number 2, how do you currently receive feedback on your daily practice for becoming a better educator? How do you receive feedback daily on your practice, the work that you do to become a better educator? And I have just a little side note in my mind is that leaders, what are you doing to give feedback to your educators to help them become a better educator? And then teachers, what are you doing for your students to help them become a better student? All right, number 3, what do you or your team of colleagues currently do each day, week, or unit to reflect on the results of your professional practice? Okay, take action on them, and then correct any weaknesses immediately. Remember when we were talking in the first section of heart, the happiness part, working together in a community, right, is going to give us an opportunity to bounce ideas around, to help each other, to support each other. So, what are you doing as a team? Okay, to reflect upon your results of your professional practice, to take action on them, come back and reflect, right, and then correct any weaknesses, engage in that refinement. All right, my friends. Wow, let's come back. Let me guys, if I can move my little slide thing over here. There we go. All right, so wow, we have covered a lot of great information in this past unit engagement, as well as the one prior to that in happiness. And I don't know about you, but I am very inspired. And this is, I think, the perfect time to do this book studies over the summer, because now I can reflect upon the work that I'm doing, and I can take a step back from the day-to-day grind, that we have as educators, and look at opportunities to work on my happiness, to work on my engagement. And then I just a little pro tip here. Now that we are almost done, right? We're almost halfway through the book here. But what I'm thinking is throughout the school year, then just going, because we'll finish it by the end of the summer, but during the school year, I'm going to keep this book on my nightstand by my bed, and I'm just going to start and read chapter 1, and then reflect on that, read chapter 2, read chapter 3, read chapter 4, and to continue to reflect upon that. I will definitely see it in a new light, because it's the second time that I've been reading this. And then by the end of the school year, will have read this book a second time, and it will have more power, more impact on me, and powerful impact on me, because I've been able to actually slow it down and take a look at myself as that educator. All right. Wow. Let's go on to that next section right here. This is the next section that we have, and we are going to wrap up today. Maybe if I can change my slide. Here we go. Okay, so this is the MTXE perspective. What does MTXE stand for? It is mental toughness and extra effort. All right, you might be thinking, extra effort? I'm already giving 135,000%, right? But what can I do to have that mental toughness and that extra effort? So we're going to look at perspective, which is the term to look through or see clearly. And it's definitely that clarity. So I'm going to go and read just a little bit here of page 97 in our book. So it's just kind of getting our brains thinking here. What is perspective? To a great extent, perspective is how we see something. The word has its origin from the Latin's perspectus, to look through or see clearly. This is very hard to do when immersed in the smothering details and activities of your professional and personal life, which, my friends, is why we are doing this book study during the summer, because we don't have to worry about all the plates that are spinning during the school year. We have that time to reflect and to look and think clearly. One overriding thought is that life is short. Where do the time, energy, and effort of ending one school year in June and starting another one in August go? Pretty soon, all those school years become a blur of sorts. Your career becomes this connected series of school year segments as thousands of students roll through the kaleidoscope of your work. I like that term, kaleidoscope of your work, because that's truly what it is. And one thing you know from experience, life is uncertain. The single adjective that best describes future events is unexpected. We like to plan, but things can be unexpected. There will be those unexpected stuff like illnesses, accomplishments, transfers, promotions, surgeries, triumphs, and tragedies. The events sure to follow in the next school season are indeed uncertain. They will drain your energy and are often only understood in the reflection once the season ends. And my friends, that right there reminds me totally of the past few years, the COVID experience where the schools were shut down, and then going back into school and everything that we've learned from that process. This past year, we had a bus strike. So that was something else that we had to deal with, not only 1 month during the bus strike, but also throughout the year. There were every single week of school except the first week, right? First week there was 100% of bus transportation because we had 3 days of school the first week. But after that, we would have either 2 days with no buses or 1 day with no buses. And so we had to problem solve that. That was something that was uncertain, unexpected, and that lasted all year. And those times where you do a slam dunk job, your thinking is on your lesson, on your unit, you come to the assessment and the kids didn't do as well as you thought that they would do. Okay. So there's opportunities all over that are going to drain your energy. And my friends, and it's taking time to acknowledge those things that are happening to drain our energy, that's forcing us into quadrant 3, that's chipping away the passion that we have. And what is it that we can do to get back so that we do have energy? Okay. So all of these issues, not only do they affect the energy at your school, at your work, but they also impact your energy at home. And things that happen at home definitely also impact your energies at work. Okay. So the author carries these words in his wallet for 25 years. And this is from the book, The Secret Ailment. We need to develop a resilient indomitable, let me read this again. We need to develop a resilient, indomitable morale that enables us to face those realities and still strive for every ounce of energy to prevail. Every important battle will need to be fought and refought. Remember grit, okay? If it's important, then you're going to focus and stay loyal to it. We have to believe in ourselves, but we mustn't suppose the path will be easy. It's tough, and rain falls on the just. And I might add, and the rainbows do appear, okay? Remember, those things that happen are just a little blip in that season that you're in. So the MTXE challenge, that perspective, is to have that mental toughness and the extra effort, even during those challenging times. So I want you to think, how can the engagement, energy, and effort ideas of part 2 help you join that 31.4% of teachers and leaders, right? To keep you actively engaged in school. Alrighty. I want you to think about that. I also want you to think about, in all of the chapters that we've been working on this section, what chapters have been most beneficial to you. I think that would be a challenge for me to figure out which one chapter is most beneficial, because each of them I've been able to pull golden nuggets. Okay. So think about these. What chapters were most beneficial to you? How can the engagement, energy, and effort ideas from part 1 help you join the 31.4% of teachers and leaders who currently actively engaged at school? And then how can the ideas expressed and all of your reflections help you to remain more actively engaged in your current school season, or since we're here in the summer, the one that we're going to be encountering? Okay. So I want you to think about that. Take some time and write those thoughts down. All right, my friends. Reflect on part 2. What are your primary takeaways? Include 2 or 3 possible actions that you can take as you continue your journey in this important aspect of your work life, maybe your personal life. And then I want you to think of those next steps as I will statements. Not I can, but I will. I will is definitive. And I want you to write them down as you measure your personal heartprint during this season of your career. All right, my friends. Wow, lots and lots and lots of great information. And we are coming to the end of chapter 2, or part 2, engagement. Okay. We've covered lots of great information and happiness and engagement. And you know what? The next chapter, the next part 3, is about A for alliances. And I cannot wait to start reading this and discussing this part with you as well. So my friends, with that, take some time to reflect upon all of the work that we've been doing. Again, that reflection is so important. Write down things that you want to do, that I will do, those I will statements. And then I want you to sit back, and I want you to go and do something that's going to fill your bucket. I want you to have some self-care time and just enjoy the rest of your day. All right, my friends, I hope that you have a blessed day, and I'll see you again next. I'll see you again in our next session, part 3, alliances. Have a blessed day, my friends. Bye.